Hey all! Today I'm going to be reviewing one of my favorite JRPG series of all time, The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel. Now, if you've never heard of these games, and I'd be willing to bet a lot of you haven't, it's a role-playing game by Nihon Falcom. Part of the Trails series, the game itself is part of the larger Legend of Heroes franchise. Originally released in Japan in 2013, it was ported over to North America a few years later. Set after The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky trilogy, our story takes place in the nation of Erebonia during the course of a school year at Thor's military academy. The action kicks off with a bang as we are thrust into the middle of a conflict between the Erebonian military and an unknown enemy at Gorelia Fortress. Forced to intervene, Reen Swarzer and the rest of Class 7 must spring into action to avert a potential disaster. Following the prologue, we are brought back to the beginning of the school year, where we receive a proper introduction to our cast and the world in which they reside. Once the story steps back to the beginning, the first character we meet is our protagonist, Reen Swarzer. Likeable, brave, and a natural leader, he is riding the train to Trista, the small town where Thor's military academy is based. We get a good opportunity to know him as he meets his other classmates while he navigates his first day at the prestigious academy. A sword user, Reen is a student of the 8 Leaves, 1 Blade School of Swordsmanship under Master Yun Ka-Fai. Originally from Ymir, he is the son of Teo and Lucia Swarzer. Our main character, Reen, is who you as the player will spend the majority of your time with. As far as RPG characters go, I found Reen to be very much in tune with the kind of person I try to be, which I suppose is why he resonates with me so well. Kind, generous, and always looking to be there for others, he is a strong character with bold convictions. The second character to be formally introduced, we meet Elisa when she accidentally walks headfirst into Reen, who is admiring the scenery outside the train station. Initially giving her last name only as R, she is an archer and one of the more assertive members of Class 7. Easily flustered, she is somewhat brash and impulsive, but underneath is a good-natured person who cares deeply about her friends. Elisa is definitely one of those characters that you have to get to know. Very guarded at first as to any of her personal details, she's a well-layered character with a lot of depth to her. Just outside the school, we meet Laura S. Arcade. The daughter of Viscount Victor Arcade, she is known for her pride, dignity, and composure. Proficient in the use of the great sword, she is determined to become a stronger swordsman. Possessing a strong sense of duty, she follows the path of righteousness to protect others who cannot protect themselves. Laura is definitely one of the more respectable members of Class 7. Like Reen, she does not act as if her status as a noble elevates her above anyone else, rather seeing it as her responsibility to do all she can for her people. There's nothing that bothers me more than characters that receive undeserved adoration, and Laura is anything but. She earns the respect her people give her, and so I really appreciate her character for who she is. Also being dropped off outside, Eustace Alberea arrives at Thor's military academy shortly after Laura. The son of Duke Alberea, he immediately clashes with Machias due to his status as a member of one of the 4 great houses. As a result, he and Machias take some time to develop a rapport. While at first Eustace may appear to be a stereotypical noble, he is a skilled sword user and adds a lot of needed conflict into the group dynamic. Often composed and serious, he possesses a strong belief in the proper role of nobility and despises those who attempt to curry favor with him. Believing nobles have a responsibility to their people, he is a strong advocate of what he sees as a noble's role. Though it took me a while to warm up to Eustace, I'd have to say that he definitely, along with Machias, goes through the most growth. Elliot Craig is the son of famous Imperial Army officer Craig the Red. A talented musician, he is assigned the orbital staff as a weapon. Meeting Reen during the orientation speech, they soon realize that they are both assigned to the same class. One of 2 orbital staff users, Elliot is a friendly, open young man with a talent for music. One of my favorite characters of the group, Elliot is a very personal individual and a good friend. A regular bright spot in the story, he is often partnered with Reen. Warm and inviting, he is a strong member of the group with a lot to offer. Brought to their first group exercise, Machias Regnus quickly makes his displeasure with their situation known. The son of Heimdall Governor Karl Regnus, he carries a shotgun and a deep-seated hatred of the nobility. A hard worker and constant overachiever, he quickly develops an antagonistic relationship with Eustace. Of all the characters, Machias definitely has a lot of growing to do. His past somewhat explains his distaste for the nobility, but his placement in Class 7 results in his learning that you can't paint any one group with the same brush. Loyal and one of the few characters to use firearms in the party, he is often a good support member to have along. Gaius Warzel is a member of the nomadic people of the Nord Highlands. Calm and collected, he is a friendly and level-headed individual without any sense of discrimination. Recommended by Lieutenant General Zex Vander, he attends Thor's military academy as a member of Class 7. One of the few members from outside of Erebonia, he often provides an outside perspective towards matters the others find commonplace. Deeply spiritual, he provides a contrast to the rest of the team and often serves to mediate disputes between members. While Gaius wasn't one of my personal favorites, he is a good party member to have around and adds a useful perspective to the other characters' points of view. Brought in by instructor Sarah, Fee Clausel is what's known as a Jaeger and a former member of Zephyr. A quiet girl, she is often found sleeping around the campus between classes. Despite her apparent disinterest, she is extremely effective on the battlefield. While Fee comes with the least backstory, at least initially, she is perhaps the most perplexing of the initial 9. Armed with gun swords, she is terse and stoic, choosing to speak with as few words as possible. Difficult to get to know, Fee is a mystery. Of all the characters, while she is initially closed off, Fee is at heart a very warm and dedicated individual, though always matter-of-fact and focused when danger is nearby. A reliable and skilled party member, she is a useful addition to any party layout. The class president of Class 7, Emma Milstein, is a polite and compassionate girl who is appreciated by nearly all of her fellow students. Modest to a fault, it is clear early on that there is more to Emma than meets the eye. I have to say that I immediately liked Emma. Initially introduced as bespectacled girl, it was clear right away that she was a character I'd enjoy getting to know. While almost every character in the group comes in with secrets, Emma's perhaps was the one that surprised me the most. Without getting into it, I say that she is a lovely and charming character that I enjoy every time I get into another Trails game. A fellow Orbital staff user, she is an excellent support member. A member of Class 5, Crow Armbrust is added to Class 7 late in the term. A laid-back playboy who frequently skips class, he initially meets Rain when showing him a magic trick in which he pockets Rain's 50 Mira. Initially presented as a supporting character, Crow becomes playable in the latter half of the game as a transfer student. Seemingly to be little more than a slacker, he is definitely one of those characters you have to keep an eye on. First encountered during Group A's field study at Boreahard, Milliam Orion shows up again in the Nord Highlands when the group learns that a nearby watchtower and Calvardian base have come under attack. A cheerful ball of energy, she is a bit ditzy and lacks common sense. A bit of an oddball, Milliam definitely grew on me really fast. Sometimes seemingly oblivious to the seriousness of certain situations, she's hard not to like. Partnered with an artificial puppet known as Ergetlem, which she affectionately calls Lammy, she is one of the most peculiar characters. A member of the Imperial Army's Intelligence Division, Milliam also goes by the alias the White Rabbit. Always bright and enthusiastic, she's one of my favorite characters, if only for the fact that you never know what she's going to say or do next. The instructor for Class 7, Sarah Valestein, is a former bracer known as the Purple Lightning. Laid back and frequently drinking, she is hesitant to do any work if she can avoid it. While she cares a great deal for her students, she prefers to let them work it out between them, if at all possible. Handpicked by Prince Oliver, who had been inspired by his travels in Liberl, he selected her as an instructor to Class 7, which would in many ways serve the same function as the Bracer Guild, who some time earlier had all but disappeared from Erebonia. Despite her seeming aversion to responsibility, Sarah is not to be underestimated, being both a capable fighter as well as an efficient bracer. So she tends to drink too much and hardly comes across as a good role model. She is nevertheless smart and good at what she does when she has the motivation to do it. An interesting character, Sarah is one of those characters that simultaneously drives you nuts along with being a wonderful companion. Trails of Cold Steel is a fairly standard RPG, involving moving through various towns and dungeons and carrying out assorted missions for both the school and individuals. Now, if you've never played a Trails game before, they do have a number of hidden quests and missable objectives, so my first time through I played with a guide handy after realizing I'd missed a couple of them. It's a long game, with the average Trails experience clocking in at about 80 hours a game, so you definitely get your money's worth, and that's just more or less playing straight through. The story is very engaging, so I always enjoyed loading the game and playing another section. At no point does it ever feel like a chore. With the deeply layered characters and complex plot, there's a lot to keep you busy. Battles are on the same map you wander around in, so there are no random battles, which I appreciated. You can engage in or avoid most of them if you choose, with battles being initiated when you either attack or run into an enemy, or one of them runs into you. You then move to the battle screen, where you typically have 4 party members versus an unknown number of enemies. Combat is turn-based, with the order being visible on the side of the screen. While generally you follow the order listed, special techniques such as S-crafts can interrupt that order with devastating effect. While such abilities can come in handy, be aware of both their area of effect as well as the timing of their use. With party switching being fairly easy, it allows for versatile strategy during battles. In between major game segments, the game will offer you bonding events. These are often short story segments in which you will spend time with one of your party members, increasing the strength of your connection with them and enhancing your link abilities in battle. Combat links, introduced as a function of the Arc Assortment in Cold Steel, allows two members to support each other in battle. How exactly depends on the team assortment, but they can be useful in providing follow-up attacks, healing, and so on. Activated when a regular attack unbalances an enemy, it can provide a significant advantage in battle. There are no downsides, so it pays to always keep your party members linked. I've always liked the music in this series of games. I tend to think that more often than not, music is underappreciated, but the Trails series does an excellent job of crafting pieces that flow perfectly with the overall mood of the scene at hand. I imagine video game composers have to be much more fluid given that their pieces are constantly interrupted with other pieces, save for cutscenes, and have to sound as well whether you stay in town for hours or just a few minutes. Anytime I come across a Trails soundtrack, listening to the music immediately brings me right back to that world, so I can say without reservation it's a wonderful experience. Trails of Cold Steel is a well-written, involving, and enjoyable role-playing game on a grand scale. I highly recommend it to any anime fans as well as people who like role-playing games that are more than just a short visit to the world in question. Filled with dynamic characters and complex storylines, the world of Trails will keep you coming back again and again. Thanks for watching, and if you liked it, click the subscribe button and leave a comment below. You can also find me on Twitter and a few other places on the web, or support me via Patreon or Ko-fi. Zebra hugs!